Hi Virgo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. Hope you're having a good holiday season and a happy new year as well. This is your 2026 year ahead overview. And the way it works is we'll get all 12 houses of the zodiac, treating your sign as the first house. And we'll actually pull an oracle card after that from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. But we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling astrology dice to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. And as far as the main deck being used, it's the Brady Tarot. All right, so we'll get started. Okay, so we have three. So third house energy for you guys is Scorpio. Main energy that comes to mind this year for Scorpio is there will be Venus retrograde going on in Scorpio. That'll be early October, and I think it'll last for about 40 days. All right, we have Mars. Mars is pretty much going to start out in Capricorn and eventually end up in Virgo, which of course is your sign. So definitely be some positive shifts there as far as the bookends of the year, both having Mars and Earth signs, which is your element. And we have Leo. So for you guys, Leo is your 12th house, and 12th house in general points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. In the first house, we have the star. So this is actually Aquarius energy here, which is your sixth house, which could point to your health, your daily routines, your work. So yeah, to see this energy here, this is definitely a positive thing to see. Now, I will say this can point to some dramatic shifts that got you to this point. For example, the star card is the card that naturally comes after the tower in tarot, so it could just be saying that you might find yourselves in this place eventually, but you might have had to go through a hard path to get there. In the second house, which points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have a rivalry. So this is the Five of Feathers, which is the equivalent of the Five of Wands. So yeah, to see this here, it could just be saying that there might be a competitive environment that you guys find yourselves in when it comes to finances. So for example, maybe you'll find yourselves in a competitive career field, things along those lines there. But also, I feel like this is saying keep an eye out for underhanded business deals this year as well. So if you are going to sign any contracts, for example, just make sure you're double checking to make sure everything's on the up and up. All right. In the third house, which points to communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have swiftness. So you guys might find yourselves having a lot of impact in that area of life. So we did see third house energy come up with the dice as well. So yeah, this could just be saying that things might pick up for you guys when it comes to communications. Maybe you find yourselves taking a lot of short distance journeys for whatever reason. But yeah, it could just catch you off guard. So I feel like this is going to be one of those things where, going into the year, you might not have expected that area of life to pick up for you. But as the year progresses, you'll find that it's actually moving rather quickly. All right. In the fourth house, which points to home, roots, and mother, we have the Empress. So yeah, perfect energy for fourth house as far as that goes. Usually I view this as Taurus energy. It's very Venusian in general, but see, this could just be saying that you might actually be very comfortable and feel at home, no pun intended, in your home environment this year. Fifth house energy, we have Death. So this is the major arcana card for Scorpio. And I would say with that, again, like we did mention when we were looking at the third house energy with the dice too, that is Scorpio energy for you guys. So this could just be saying that maybe some of you might experience an ending around your romantic lives. Maybe you might wrap up a creative project as well, maybe because you don't necessarily feel inspired to continue with that project. But yeah, there could definitely be some shifts around that as well. And again, like I said, the main thing that comes to mind for Scorpio energy this year is the fact that we'll have that Venus retrograde there in October. So that could be a key time as far as that goes. All right. sixth house energy, which represents work, health, and daily routines. We have the Daughter of Horns. So this is basically the Page of Cups. And to see this here could just be saying that, yeah, maybe when it comes to your work, your daily routines, you might feel like you're on a newer path. So again, like we said with the rivalry energy, right? So you can see that going a couple different ways. Maybe the field you're in, you might find it to be a little too competitive, right? Where everyone's just out for themselves. So you might decide to leave that path behind and pursue a new path, right? Or for others of you, you might find yourselves in a new path and realize that, okay, this is actually a lot more competitive and cutthroat than I thought, right? So you might just feel like you're, well, the word that came to mind is naive, but if it makes sense, I would say it doesn't have a negative connotation in the way I'm thinking of it in this context. But yeah, that's what I see with that. All right, seventh house energy, we have Father of Feathers. So this is the equivalent of the King of Wands, which is Leo energy, which we also saw come up with the dice. So yeah, so this could just be saying that you might actually find yourselves getting into more spiritual partnerships. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to mean a romantic connection. Of course, it could, right? But when we say partnerships, could be a business contract, right? So, like I said, maybe you, let's say you have the traditional corporate job, right? And it starts to get a little bit overwhelming and maybe decide to pursue something that has a bit more of a spiritual twist to it, right? Could be something along those lines there. But yeah, either way, seeing this here, I feel like this is saying that when it comes to partnerships, you're actually going to see some positive momentum. All right, in the eighth house, we have the moon. So yeah, I'm seeing this now. Eighth house could point to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. And again, that brings me back to what I was saying with the rivalry energy in the second house, right? Where, like I said, when it comes to maybe signing any contracts, when it comes to business deals, things along those lines, I would say definitely make sure you take a second look at those things. And to me, this energy just emphasizes that even more. But seeing this as well could just be saying that you might have a little bit of heightened intuition as well. So maybe you might have some deeper insights into things than you were normally accustomed to. All right, ninth house energy, we have breach. So this is the equivalent, well, this is the seven of horns in this deck, which is the equivalent of the seven of cups. And, well, I should point out as well, this is Scorpio energy. But to see this in the ninth house could just be saying that you might actually find your beliefs might be shifting a little bit this year. Given that ninth house points to philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs, maybe you might find yourselves looking at life through a different lens throughout the year, and maybe finding yourselves a little bit unsure of which way is the quote unquote right way too, right? So maybe you get exposed to other ways of thinking, and you might see that there's positives in all of them, right? Or maybe something comes across your path that puts something you believed in for a long time on shaky ground. That could be something that you'll be dealing with this year. All right. In the 10th house, which is primarily career and social status, we have the Nine of Arrows, which is anguish in this deck. So this is Gemini energy, and for you guys, it is your 10th house of career and social status. So yeah, it's going to just be saying that you might find that things are very stressful when it comes to your career points this month, this year, rather. And I will say, keep in mind, with the symbolism there, seeing those two eggs makes me, even though they're in a nest, obviously, it makes me think of that old saying, don't put all of your eggs in one basket, right? So it could just be saying when it comes to career, now you got to strike a balance, I feel, right? Because the nine of arrows could point to maybe trying to do too many things at once, right? Which is overkill. But then this makes me think of don't put all of your eggs in one basket, right? So I feel like this is saying try to have a diversified skill set, right? But don't overwhelm yourselves in the process. So with a diversified skill set, right? So let's just say super generic. Whatever field you're in, maybe there would be layoffs, right? But at least if you have some other skill sets that you could lean on, that might actually help you moving forward from there. But on the flip side of it, again, like I said, trying to take on too many things, right, could just be overwhelming, and then it could backfire. So I feel like that's what you're going to be dealing with, at least in part, in 2026. And, keep in mind Uranus is going back into Gemini, which is your career house too, so that could cause some shifts. Doesn't need to be negative, but definitely something you want to keep an eye on, right, as far as trying to find a balanced approach. All right. In the 11th house, which points primarily to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Mother of Feathers, which is basically the equivalent of the Queen of Wands, which is Aries energy. So, yeah. So, like this is saying now, if we want to connect that, given that for you guys, Aries is your 8th house, right? This could just be saying maybe you might actually find yourselves getting more attached to a friend, right? So maybe someone you previously viewed a more of a friendship level, right? Given that we see the Father of Feather in the 7th, Mother of Feathers in the 11th, right? Maybe someone who was previously a friend might become more. That's one way it could be playing out. But also, if we think of the fact of, again, Aries being your natural 8th house, and we were talking about how that could point to investments, right? This could just be saying that maybe you and a close friend might actually invest together in something. So whether it be trying to start a business, things along those lines there. So again, looks like a positive energy there. But again, like we said, when it comes to any contracts, just keep an eye out for that. But it looks like it can be a positive partnership for sure. As long as it's someone you already know and trust. All right. And in the 12th house, which typically points to, which we mentioned with the Leo energy, typically points to mental health, spirituality, and blind spots. But we have the Six of Roots, which is the equivalent of the Six of Pentacles, and it's altruism. So, seeing this energy here, I feel like this is saying that ultimately, even with the bumps in the road you might encounter, right, where, like we said, maybe within your career fields, you might be a little bit stressed, right? Maybe people are going to be looking out for themselves a little bit more this year when it comes to finances. There could be a part of you that spiritually just knows that everything will work out as it should, right? So even though you might find yourself stressed from time to time, I feel like overall this is saying you'll just have that faith that, hey, even if someone does try to take advantage of your kindness, right? I feel like you'll just eventually know that the scales will balance out. And maybe that's what that star energy in the first house could be pointing to, where, like we said, maybe you'll learn a lot of things this year. And like we said, maybe you went through a rough path to get there, but looks like you're coming out on the other side of it. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have finality. So this is the 10 of arrows, which is the equivalent of the 10 of swords. And as with most tarot decks, when it comes to 10 of arrows or 10 of swords energy, it looks a little dramatic, right? But again, especially when you do also see the 9 in the spread, it can be more of a positive as far as an energy of a bit of a release, right? So I feel like this is just saying primarily if there is something that has been stressing you out heavily, again, which like we said, it looks like it could be more of a career thing for you guys for the most part. I feel like there can be a release from that in the more positive sense. Now, again, obviously there might be some temporary pain along the way, but overall, it looks like it will be for the best in the long run. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So we're actually going to pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, and then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. Okay, take this card, get this out of the way, and we'll take a look at your card. All right, we have here and now. There's the artwork, and the number is 32. I would say this definitely makes me think of what we were saying, right? As far as you might be finding yourselves a little bit stressed out around career finances, but we'll see what it says in the book. All right, essential meanings says being fully present in a moment, living one day at a time. The Oracle's message: everything happens in the now, in the present. Only this moment counts. You have what it takes to handle anything today if you let go of the need to look into the future or reflect on the past. Be present and notice what is going on right now. This very moment has the potential for you to create miracles in your life. So, definitely a positive message there, and it does make me think of that moon energy in the eighth house too. So, maybe that might find you, just drifting away from your normal train of thought from time to time. The relationship message says it's easy to yearn for a love affair or friendship you may not have right now, one that is more romantic, more fun, more reliable, more passionate. The good old days are gone and a new day has dawned. Let your heart trust that you have everything you need right now, whether you have the relationship you desire or not. Tomorrow is beyond your reach. Yesterday cannot return. The now is all that is available to you. Stay present and aware that in this moment, as you cherish and approve of your beautiful self, you are a magnet for love. Spirit is madly in love with you right now. Did you know that? Turn to Spirit to feel the joy of love in the here and now. So, definitely an interesting message there because that makes you think of more of the moon energy we see in the eighth house, the star in the first house. But yeah, like I said, it seems like this year there could be something where maybe someone you previously viewed as a friend or maybe possibly meet through friends could actually be significant when it comes to your romantic lives in 2026. All right, the prosperity message says, what you are working on is golden, and your efforts will leave a powerful legacy. Focus not on meeting a goal in the far off future, but on creating your dream now, releasing your desire for an outcome, and owning that it already exists. It will appear in the material world as if by magic. Claim your prosperity now. The essence is more important than the form. When you are immersed in prosperous thoughts, you automatically tune into a sense of timelessness and unlimited potential. You can act as if, in spite of the temporary outer conditions, you are prosperous at this moment. What you think now becomes a reality. Stay present. So, definitely a good message to hear there. Where, like I said, seeing that anguish energy in the 10th house, right? Rivalry in the second house, and finality at the bottom of the deck. Definitely, like I said, seems like there could be some things around your career lives that might be stressing you in 2026, which could be, like we said, having Uranus energy back in there, which can make things a little bit more chaotic. But ultimately, they can serve to free you in a positive manner. So, hopefully that resonated for you guys. Wrap up there. Hope you have a good holiday season and New Year. Bye.